There is something happening right now inside the body of almost every man over 50 that no one is talking about openly. A slow, silent collapse that starts years before he notices anything is wrong. And by the time he does notice, by the time he wakes up one morning and realizes something has changed, something that used to feel effortless and automatic now feels distant and uncertain, he tells himself it is just age, that nothing can be done. But I need you to hear me right now, because what I am about to share with you will change the way you think about your body, your vitality, and what is actually possible for you starting tonight. What is happening inside you is not age, not weakness, not some permanent condition you simply have to accept. It is a specific, measurable, reversible biological breakdown, one that two of the most ordinary ingredients sitting in your kitchen right now have the remarkable ability to address together in a way that most men will never discover. I am talking about castor oil and baking soda. And before you close this video thinking you already know what these things do, I promise you, you do not know what they can do together. And more importantly, you do not know what happens when you combine them with specific additional ingredients in specific ways that multiply the effect dramatically. By the time this video is over, you will have 4 distinct blends and methods, each one targeting a completely different layer of what is draining your strength, your performance, your energy, and your confidence as a man. Stay with me, because the 4th combination is the one that surprised even me when I first discovered what the research showed about it. My name is Dr. Mei Anderson. I am a board-certified urologist, and I have spent over 20 years working almost exclusively with men over 40, who are dealing with exactly what you are experiencing right now. I have sat across from thousands of men, strong, proud men who built careers and raised families, who came into my office barely able to say the words, men who had quietly stopped initiating intimacy, who had started sleeping on the far side of the bed not because the love was gone, but because they were terrified of the moment their body would not respond the way they needed it to, men who described feeling like a ghost in their own life. And what I tell every one of those men is the same thing I want to tell you now. You are not broken. You were never broken. What is happening to you has a cause, and causes have solutions. Before we go any further, if you are watching this on the Vital Health Seniors channel, and you have not subscribed yet, please do that right now and turn on the notification bell. I release new science-backed content every week designed specifically for men over 40, who want to reclaim their vitality naturally, without expensive treatments and without shame. And do something for me right now. Type the number 1 in the comments below if what I have said so far speaks to you. Just the number 1. I read every single comment on this channel, and your response tells me I am reaching the right men with the right message. Now let me explain to you what is actually happening inside your body, because once you understand the mechanism, everything else will make complete sense. The arteries that supply blood to the pelvic region. The arteries that make erections possible, that fuel arousal, that determine whether your body responds when desire calls, are among the smallest and most sensitive in the entire human body. They are the first place in your body to register when something is wrong with your circulation. Long before you feel tightness in your chest, long before any doctor raises a concern about your heart, those tiny pelvic arteries are already narrowing, already stiffening, already losing the flexibility and responsiveness they once had. And the reason they narrow is not simply time. It is a combination of 3 forces working together quietly over years. Chronic low-grade inflammation in the vessel walls, the gradual accumulation of metabolic waste and acidity in the pelvic tissues, and the progressive decline of nitric oxide, the master signaling molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and open and allow blood to rush in. When nitric oxide falls, which it does by up to 50% between the ages of 40 and 70, the arteries tighten. The blood flow reduces. The tissues in your pelvic region become congested, starved for oxygen, and less responsive to the signals your brain is still sending. And that is when a man starts to feel what you have been feeling, not just in his body, but in his identity, in his confidence, in the quiet distance that begins to grow between him and the person he loves most. Here is what nobody tells you. Castor oil, the same bottle that has been sitting in pharmacies and kitchens for generations, has a property that almost no other oil on earth possesses. It penetrates. Most topical oils sit on the surface of the skin. Castor oil, due to its unique fatty acid called ricinoleic acid, passes through the surface layers of the skin and drives deep into the underlying tissue. It does not just moisturize. It moves. It reaches congested tissue, inflamed areas, and restricted blood vessels in a way that no other natural oil can match. And when it reaches those tissues, ricinoleic acid does something remarkable. It calms inflammation. It stimulates lymphatic drainage, which flushes the metabolic waste and acidity that has been building up in your pelvic region for years. It improves local circulation by relaxing the smooth muscle tissue surrounding those tiny arteries. And when the arteries relax, blood flows. Now, add baking soda to that picture, because this is where the chemistry becomes truly extraordinary. As men age past 50, a process called low-grade metabolic acidosis begins to take hold. The body's ability to buffer and expel excess acid becomes less efficient. Acid accumulates in tissues, particularly in areas with already reduced circulation, like the lower pelvis. And here is why that matters so critically for your sexual health. An acidic internal environment directly constricts blood vessels. It causes smooth muscle tissue around your arteries to tighten and grip. It promotes inflammation in the vessel walls. And it creates what researchers call a hostile tissue environment. One where nitric oxide breaks down almost instantly rather than persisting long enough to do its work. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, is one of the most powerful natural pH buffers known to science. When it enters the tissue, either topically or internally, it neutralizes that excess acidity. It shifts the local environment from hostile to receptive. It is, in the most literal biological sense, giving your blood vessels permission to open. When you combine castor oil and baking soda together, you get a synergy that neither produces alone. The castor oil carries the alkalizing baking soda deep into congested pelvic tissue, while the baking soda neutralizes the acidity that has been constricting circulation for years. Together they are clearing the pathway, opening the highway, and preparing your body to receive the compounds that follow in a way it simply could not have absorbed before. Here is the first blend I want you to try, and I want you to start with this one because it is the foundation everything else is built upon. In a small bowl, warm 1 tablespoon of pure organic castor oil gently. Not hot, just warm, the way you would warm a baby's bottle. Add 1/4 teaspoon of aluminium-free baking soda, and stir until the mixture becomes smooth and slightly thickened. Apply this blend with clean hands to your lower abdomen, the inner thigh area, and the base of the groin. These are the regions where the blood supply to the pelvic system originates. Massage in slow, deliberate circular movements. Not rough. Not rushed. This is not force. This is restoration. Cover the area with a warm cloth or a folded towel for 20 to 30 minutes. The warmth drives the penetration deeper. Do this 3 times a week, and within the first week, most men notice something they did not expect. A warmth in the area that was not there before. A sense of circulation returning to tissue that had gone quiet. That warmth is not the oil. That is blood moving again. I want to tell you about a man named David who came to see me 18 months ago. He was 66 years old, a retired teacher, and he sat in my office with the particular stillness of a man who has been carrying something heavy alone for a very long time. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like the lights are on but nobody is home." He had been experiencing progressive erectile difficulty for 3 years. He had tried 2 different medications, both of which gave him headaches and one of which had stopped working entirely after 6 months. He told me he had not initiated intimacy with his wife in 8 months. Not because he did not want to, but because the fear of failing again had become heavier than the desire itself. We began with this foundational castor oil and baking soda protocol. 3 weeks later, David sent me a message. He said, "Something is different. I don't have the words for it yet, but something is different." He was right. Something was different. His body was beginning to remember how to circulate. But here is what I told David when he came back. The foundation is essential, but the foundation alone is only the beginning, because there is a second layer to what is possible here, and it involves adding one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory, and circulation-enhancing compounds in the natural world to this base blend. And that compound is turmeric combined with black pepper. Turmeric contains curcumin, an anti-inflammatory agent so potent that research has compared its effect on vascular inflammation to that of pharmaceutical drugs, without the side effects. Curcumin directly targets the inflammatory processes inside your blood vessel walls. It reduces the production of the inflammatory cytokines that stiffen and narrow your arteries over time. It protects the delicate endothelial lining, the inner surface of your blood vessels that produces nitric oxide, from the oxidative damage that age and stress cause every single day. When that endothelial lining is healthier, it produces more nitric oxide. When nitric oxide rises, blood vessels relax. And when blood vessels in the pelvis relax, a man's body begins responding again in ways he thought were behind him. But here is the piece that most people miss entirely. Curcumin on its own has a bioavailability problem. The body absorbs almost none of it when consumed without fat or without black pepper. The active compound in black pepper, piperine, has been shown in clinical research to increase curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000%. And castor oil, being a rich fatty acid, creates the perfect carrier medium for fat-soluble curcumin to be absorbed through the skin and into the tissue below. So here is the second blend. Take your warm tablespoon of castor oil and your quarter teaspoon of baking soda. And this time add half a teaspoon of ground turmeric and a generous pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Stir everything together until you have a deep golden paste. The color will be vivid, almost luminescent. Apply this exactly as you did the first blend. Lower abdomen, inner thighs, base of the groin. The warmth cloth on top. 20 to 30 minutes. What you are doing now is not just clearing congestion. You are actively reducing the vascular inflammation that has been quietly strangling your circulation for years. Men who use this blend consistently report that within 2 weeks, the warmth in the pelvic area becomes more sustained, more present. Some describe a kind of awakening in tissues that had gone numb. Now, I need to pause here because if this information is genuinely new to you, if no one has ever explained that the inflammation inside your blood vessels is a primary driver of what you have been experiencing, I want to ask you to do something right now. Hit the like button. Not for me. For every other man over 50 who is scrolling through YouTube tonight at midnight searching for answers and not finding them. Your engagement tells YouTube's algorithm that this content matters and needs to be shown to more men who are silently dealing with exactly what you are dealing with. If you have not subscribed yet, please do it now. You will not want to miss what I am about to show you in the next 2 combinations, because this is where the science gets truly extraordinary. Here is where I want to challenge something you may believe. You may believe that what you need is more testosterone. That if you could just get your testosterone back, everything else would follow. And I understand why men believe that, because that is what the supplement industry has told you for 30 years. But here is the truth that most doctors never take the time to explain. Testosterone without circulation is trapped power. A man can have perfectly normal testosterone levels and still experience complete erectile failure, because testosterone does not create erections. Blood flow creates erections. Testosterone provides the desire, the drive, the emotional fuel. But it is nitric oxide and vascular health that determine whether the body can physically respond. This is why so many men try testosterone boosters and feel nothing change in their performance. The highway is still blocked. You can add as much fuel to the tank as you want. If the road is closed, you are not going anywhere. This brings me to the third blend, and this one addresses the nitric oxide pathway directly, from a completely different angle than the first 2. Fresh ginger root. Not powdered ginger. Fresh, raw, grated ginger root. The difference matters enormously because fresh ginger contains high concentrations of compounds called gingerols that are significantly degraded in the drying process. Gingerols do 2 things that are profoundly relevant to what we are building here. First, they inhibit the excessive aggregation of blood platelets. They keep blood from thickening and clumping, which means blood moves more freely through the smaller vessels and capillaries that supply pelvic tissue. Second, and this is the part one find most compelling, Research suggests that gingerol compounds may directly support the health and activity of the oral bacteria on the tongue that play a critical role in the dietary nitrate conversion pathway. In other words, ginger may help your body produce more of its own nitric oxide from the food you eat. And ginger also creates a thermogenic effect, a gentle, sustained internal warmth that triggers what is called reflexive vasodilation. Your body responds to heat by opening blood vessels to distribute that heat, and that opening happens throughout the system, including in the pelvic region. The third blend is taken internally, not applied topically. This is your morning ritual, and I want you to use it alongside the topical blend, not instead of it. Grate 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh ginger root. Do not skip the fresh, this is not negotiable, and steep it in a cup of warm but not boiling water for 5 minutes. While it steeps, dissolve 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in a separate small glass of warm water, and drink that first, on an empty stomach. Then drink the ginger tea slowly. What you are doing internally with the baking soda is the same thing the topical blend does at the tissue level. You are shifting your systemic pH from acidic toward alkaline, which protects the nitric oxide your body produces from being destroyed before it can do its work. And the ginger is thinning the blood, warming the vessels, and supporting the bacterial ecosystem in your mouth that your body's nitric oxide production depends on. I need to tell you what happened with a man named Harrison. He was 71 years old, a former firefighter, and he came to me not for any particular medical crisis, but for something harder to name. He said, "I have started to feel invisible. Not sick, just invisible." He was healthy by most standard measures, but his sexual function had declined significantly over the previous 4 years, and with it had gone a layer of confidence and presence that he could not articulate but could deeply feel. We introduced the topical blend first, then the internal morning protocol. After 6 weeks, Harrison came back. The change I noticed before he sat down was in how he carried himself. Shoulders back, making eye contact. He told me his wife had noticed something different about him before he did. She had reached for his hand in the kitchen, and he said, "That doesn't sound like much, but that hadn't happened in 2 years." That is what restored circulation does. It does not just change what happens in the bedroom. It changes how a man moves through the world. Now I want to show you the fourth combination, and I want you to understand something about this one before I describe it. The first 3 blends I have given you work on the infrastructure. The tissue, the inflammation, the acidity, the blood itself. What the fourth blend does is work on the signaling. And it is here, at the level of cellular signaling, that the most dramatic and most rapid changes in male sexual response occur. This blend combines your castor oil and baking soda base with 2 additions: raw unprocessed cacao powder, and a small amount of fresh garlic that has been allowed to rest after crushing. Let me explain why this combination is so remarkable. Raw cacao. Not cocoa powder, not chocolate, but raw unprocessed cacao, contains the highest known concentration of flavonols called epicatechin of any food on earth. Epicatechin does something that most natural compounds cannot do. It directly activates the enzyme responsible for nitric oxide production in your endothelial cells through a pathway called PI3K signaling. Epicatechin also inhibits phosphodiesterase type 5, the enzyme whose purpose is to break down the messenger that carries the vasodilation signal into your smooth muscle cells. When that enzyme is active, the signal to relax and open is constantly being terminated. When epicatechin inhibits it, the vasodilation signal accumulates to significantly higher levels. You are simultaneously pressing the accelerator and releasing the brake. This is, not coincidentally, the same mechanism targeted by the most well-known erectile dysfunction medications. But epicatechin does it naturally, gently, and cumulatively, without the headaches, the dependency, or the cardiovascular risk. Now add the garlic. When a clove of garlic is crushed and allowed to rest for 10 minutes before use, a chemical reaction produces a compound called allicin. Allicin inhibits a molecule in the bloodstream called ADMA, asymmetric dimethylarginine, which is essentially a brake on your body's ability to produce nitric oxide. After the age of 60, ADMA levels in the blood increase by an estimated 25%. This is one of the primary biochemical reasons nitric oxide production collapses in older men, independent of lifestyle. Garlic, used correctly, directly removes that break. And when you combine allicin from garlic with epicatechin from cacao, one compound increasing nitric oxide production through the endothelial pathway, and the other removing the molecular brake on that production while simultaneously preventing the downstream signal from being destroyed, you have created a convergent amplification effect on your entire nitric oxide signaling cascade. Here is the fourth blend. Warm your tablespoon of castor oil with your quarter teaspoon of baking soda. Add 1 teaspoon of raw cacao powder, not Dutch cocoa, not sweetened hot chocolate mix, but raw unprocessed cacao from a health food store or online supplier. Take 1 small garlic clove, crush it completely, and allow it to rest on the cutting board for 10 full minutes. This resting period is not optional. The allicin reaction requires time to complete, and without it you are losing the majority of the benefit. After 10 minutes, add the crushed garlic to your blend. Stir everything together. This blend can be used topically in the same application areas as the others, and it can also be mixed into a small amount of warm olive oil and consumed internally before bed. The olive oil matters because both epicatechin and the active compounds in garlic are fat-soluble, meaning they require dietary fat present in order to be fully absorbed. Olive oil acts as a carrier, delivering these compounds through the intestinal wall far more efficiently than water-based preparations. When you consume this blend before bed, you are doing something profoundly strategic. Testosterone production peaks during deep sleep. Nitric oxide regeneration occurs during the overnight repair window. Blood vessel endothelial cells go into active regenerative mode during the hours of deepest rest. By providing your body with enhanced nitric oxide precursors, phosphodiesterase inhibition, and ADMA reduction before bed, you are ensuring that those overnight repair processes happen in an optimal biological environment. Men who use this protocol consistently over 4 to 6 weeks often describe something they did not expect. They wake up differently, a sense of pressure and warmth that had been absent for years, mornings that feel like something has returned rather than something has left. There is one more thing I want you to know about this entire protocol, and it is perhaps the most important thing I will say. None of this requires a single prescription. None of this requires a single visit to a pharmacy. Every ingredient I have described to you costs a matter of cents, and can be found in any grocery store or supermarket. Castor oil, a few pounds for a bottle that lasts months. Then baking soda, pennies per dose. Turmeric and black pepper, already in most kitchens. Fresh ginger, less than a pound for several weeks of use. Raw cacao, less than 10 pounds for a month's supply. Garlic, one of the cheapest foods on the planet. And yet the combined biological effect of these 6 ingredients working across 4 distinct blends. Reducing pelvic tissue inflammation, clearing metabolic acidity, increasing nitric oxide production, protecting nitric oxide from destruction, thinning blood for better microcirculation, and amplifying the downstream vasodilation signal, is genuinely extraordinary. I have watched men in their 60s, 70s, and in one remarkable case a man of 81 years old, come back to my office with a light in their eyes that had not been there when I first met them. And what they describe is never just physical. It is never simply things work better now. It is something deeper and harder to name. It is the feeling of being present in their own body again, of waking up and recognizing themselves, of reaching for their partner not from obligation or out of some managed expectation, but from genuine, natural, uncomplicated desire. That return of desire, of confidence, of identity, is what this is truly about. The physical is the doorway. But what walks through that doorway is a man who remembers himself. I want to be direct with you about something before we close. There are men watching this video right now who feel like it is too late, who have spent so long in decline that hope itself has started to feel dangerous. I have sat with those men. I have watched tears in the eyes of men who believed restoration simply did not apply to them anymore. I want to say this as clearly as I know how. It is not too late. Your body has not given up on you. The arteries have not permanently sealed. The endothelial cells have not stopped responding to signals. The testosterone is still there. The desire is still there. What has been missing is not capability. What has been missing is the correct biological environment for capability to express itself. And that environment can be rebuilt. Not with force, not with artificial stimulation, not with expensive treatments that treat symptoms while the underlying cause continues, but with consistency, with the correct compounds, and with the patience to allow your body to restore what it was always designed to do. David is now in a relationship with his wife that he describes as better than it was at 55. Harrison stopped feeling invisible. The 81-year-old man I mentioned, Gerald, came not with a medical concern but with a quiet request. He said, "I just want to feel like myself one more time." 3 months later he called my office and said something I will remember for the rest of my career. He said, "I didn't think I was owed that. I didn't think I had the right to want it at my age. But doctor, I feel like I came back." You have that right. At 40, at 60, at 75, at any age. Your masculinity is not a privilege of youth. It is a function of biology. And biology responds when you give it what it needs. Leave a comment below and tell me your age, just your age. I read every comment, and the men who watch this channel deserve to know they are not alone. There are tens of thousands of men watching videos like this one every single night, in private, with the volume turned down, hoping they will finally find the thing that makes a difference. Your comment might be the thing that tells another man, "There are others here. I am not the only one." This is not a failure unique to me. Share this video with one man in your life who needs it. Not with a group. One specific person you are thinking of right now. A brother. A friend. Someone who has gone quiet about something. You do not have to say why you are sharing it. Just send it. That one action could change his life. And if you want to continue building on everything I have shared today, if you want to go deeper into the science of nitric oxide restoration, testosterone optimization, blood flow enhancement, and natural male vitality protocols designed specifically for men over 40, subscribe to Vital Health Seniors right now. Every week, I bring you research-based guidance built on the same principles you have seen today. Not shortcuts. Not magic. Real biology, explained clearly, so that you can take real action. I am Dr. Mei Anderson, and I want you to remember this. Your body is not behind you. It is waiting for you. Give it the right signals, starting tonight. And watch what it does with them.